I wake up one morning and my social media has gone absolutely bananas. It turns out that this poem got 40 million views in the first 48 hours. That was just the beginning of a journey for me, a deep journey of self-love, because I dropped into the deepest depression that I'd ever been in my entire life. You are who you've been looking for. So stop looking for more unless you're looking in a mirror, because it's about time for you to see clearly that you are who you've been looking for. And that empty feeling you got, that hole in your chest, you only got that feeling because you think you're not blessed with everything you need. You see, we live in a consumerist society, which means they need you to buy stuff. And the easiest way to sell it is to tell you you're not enough. Buy this car, you'll get girls. Buy this bra, you'll get guys. And we're seeing it so much that we start believing these lies. But the truth is, the makeup they're selling to make you feel prettier is the same makeup you buy to stop feeling shittier about this lie they keep telling you that you are not enough. And what about the movies we watch, all the shows on TV? The more I watch, the more I see I need you to complete me. And yes, love is the answer. Love is the key. But if you can't love yourself, how can you ever love me? And loving yourself, what does that even mean? Like massages and selfies and that sort of thing? Because the more I think about it, the more it feels weird. I've always thought self-love was something to be feared. I've been taught that arrogance is bad and vanity, it's not good. And even my bracelets are telling me to act how Jesus would. So what should I do? How should I act? I'm supposed to love myself, but how do I even do that? Well, I got a trick that I picked up from a friend who noticed that I was quick to defend her when she would say something negative about herself. She'd say, "I'm so dumb," and I'd say, "You're so brilliant." She'd say, "I'm so weak," and I'd say, "You're so resilient." And when she said, "I feel ugly," and I said, "You look beautiful," she asked me why I was so dutifully filling up her cup constantly and yet treating my own cup so irresponsibly. Because when I looked in the mirror, my voice was quite clear. You're ugly, you're too thin, your hairline's receding, and you got a pimple on your chin. And that was when she gave me a piece of advice that changed my life. She gave me a hug. And she said, "Treat yourself like someone you love." Treat yourself like someone you love. And now I had been standing, but I needed to be sitting because I couldn't believe that I had been letting myself keep forgetting that I was who I'd been looking for. And deep in my core, I knew it was time to stop looking for more until I could look through all my fear and look into a mirror and see clearly that the man looking back at me is the only one who can make me happy, and I am already enough. And I'm not any more special or unique than you. That's why I'm here to speak to you. You are already enough. And when you start to see that, you will start to be that. Your world will get brighter, your load will get lighter, and you can see that with life, you can be a lover, not a fighter. And that life, you deserve it because you are worth it. And there's no point in letting yourself keep forgetting, because no matter what you say or do, you are perfect. And so today, I hope I leave you with a direction correction away from the flaws you see in your reflection. They aren't flaws to me. They are simply protection against all the doubts you have of your perfection. So start today. Take a good long look in the mirror and say, "I am who I've been looking for." Take a nice deep breath and let that one sink in. Take this moment to fall a little bit more deeply in love with yourself, because we're about to go behind the poetry. You are who you've been looking for. Crazy to think that that is the video of that piece is the most viewed viral poetry performance in history. The video of me performing that on stage has been viewed over 250 million times that we know about. Not including all the places that it just gets taken and reposted and all over. And the interesting thing about this poem is that I had, in my opinion, so little to do with it going viral and changing my life. The thing that built so much of my social media following, in many ways set the momentum for so many of you to be here right now listening or watching this podcast, came from this moment in time that is magical and breaks all of the ideas we have of what we must do and how we have to behave and how we have to act in order to get our dreams to come true. And so I want to share a bit of that journey because it changed my life. And the starting point is understanding where it actually happened. Where did I perform this piece? It was at a Kyle Cease event. Kyle, I'm going to shout you out, brother, because I love you and you really changed my life in this moment. And you didn't even mean to. Kyle did not intend for this moment to happen. He pulled me on stage randomly, right? Synchronistically. And so at the time, I was at an event called Evolving Out Loud, led by Kyle. And I was there because I had volunteered my time for free to co-host an online summit. This online summit meant that I interviewed several people. Kyle was one of those people. We just hit it off, and he invited me to his live show that he was going to be doing in Los Angeles, and he gave me 2 tickets, VIP second row. And I show up at this event and I sit down in the second row and I turn around and I look back at this audience, this theater of 1,500 people. And because I'm in the second row, they're all looking at me, right? It's 2 levels. There's a mezzanine and I'm just feeling the energy of all these people looking in my direction towards the stage. And at the time, I had been touring my one-man poetry show. I had a poetry show called Permission to Think Freely. And I toured it through Australia. I toured it through Canada and several places in the United States. And I had lost money. Every time I did one of these tours, I lost money because I had no social media following. I think on Instagram, I had like 3,000 followers. And so I was doing shows that sometimes had as few as like 20 something people. And to go to Australia and do a show with 20 something people is a very, I'm not going to call it a bad business move, but let's just say I don't think any business advisors would advise you to do it. And so I just had to. And I developed this show that I was incredibly proud of, and I wanted to tour it. And I was in the second row at Evolving Out Loud, and I turned around and I felt the audience, and I thought to myself, I can hold this audience. I'm ready to be on a stage like this in front of 1,500 people. I could crush this. And I took a conscious moment of closing my eyes and feeling what it felt like as if I was on stage and all these people were looking at me and I was right there and I was doing my show. And I went, I want that. I can do that. I'm ready for that. And it was just a moment. And throughout the day of taking part in this event, there was an exercise that we were given. And this exercise is really beautiful, and I encourage you to do this exercise. Take this and actually apply this to your life, which is we had a piece of paper and we drew a line down the center. And on the left side in that column, we were asked to write, what is the dream that you have? What is it that you want? And you can write a bunch of those. And one of those that I wrote was, I want to be performing in front of large audiences. And then on the other column, you're going to write, why do you think you don't have it? And so in that column next to I want to perform in front of large audiences, I wrote, I don't believe I have the network to give me those opportunities. And that was really interesting because we were asked to look at all these reasons we had written for why we think we don't have it and ask ourselves, is that actually true? And so as I was sitting with the reason I gave of not having the network to give me these opportunities, I started to laugh because here I was actually sitting in the second row VIP section because I was invited by the dude on stage running the event. What do I mean I don't have the network? Of course I have the network. I'm literally in the moment of being in the network. And the homework assignment we were given that night was to go and take action towards our goal. If it wasn't true, take an action towards our goal. And so what did I do? That night, that evening, I was doing all of the homework assignments and I sent a message. I didn't even have his text message, but I sent a message to Kyle on Facebook Messenger, which is where we were connected. And I said, hey, Kyle, I have a poem about self-love that I think would really resonate with the audience here. And I just wanted to offer to be able to perform it for this audience if that felt like it would be aligned for you or if there is any space for it. And then I went to bed. And I felt really good about myself because I had just taken action towards with using my network towards this goal of being in front of larger audiences. And I woke up the next morning and I was meditating. And while I was meditating, I suddenly realized that I was giving my power away. There was still a part of me that was needing to have someone else approve my ability to share my gifts. I was still waiting on someone else as a gatekeeper towards my visions and my goals. And when I realized that, I got to a layer deeper, which is, what is it I really want? When I say I want to share in front of larger audiences, what is it I'm really wanting? And the deeper truth underneath that is I want to share my gifts. I want to make an impact on people. I think I have something special to offer and I want to give that. And so I don't need anyone to be the gatekeeper for me sharing my gifts. I don't need anyone to hold me back or say yes to me being able to offer value to people. And so what did I do? I sent a follow-up message to Kyle on Facebook Messenger and I said, hey, Kyle, I know I previously asked to share with your audience, but I'm realizing that I just want to share my gift and I'd like to share it with you because you're holding so much. This is a huge event with all of these people and all the logistics that maybe you need to hear this poem about self-love. So here it is. You are who you've been looking for. So stop looking for more unless you're looking in a mirror because it's about time for you to see clearly that you are who you've been looking for. And so I delivered the first maybe minute of that poem in this Facebook Messenger messages, and it felt good. It was a gift that I was freely offering. And then I went to the second day of this event. And no, Kyle Cease did not hear those messages. If that's what you're thinking, he did not get that message and was so inspired that he brought me on stage. That's not what happened. I'm sitting there at the very start of day 2, and it's in an audience of 1,500 people. And Kyle comes out on stage and he goes, how's everyone doing? And everyone's like, yeah. And we got the music going and whatever. And he goes, so how many of you did the homework and took a step towards your goal? And out of 1,500 people, you can imagine hundreds of people raising their hands. And he goes, let me hear about your step. And he calls on someone and they share about their step. He's like, amazing. Let me hear what over there. And another person shares. And he's like, anyone else? And hundreds of people have their hands up. And he's on the other side of the stage. By the way, this is all recorded. He's on the other side of the stage and he looks to where I'm sitting and he goes, and he can't see because the lights are on. He goes, hey, you there in the hat. And he goes, oh, I know you. You're Adam, right? And I said, yeah. And I start to share with him what I've just shared with you. I say, I sent you a message saying I wanted to share a poem, but then I realized I was giving my power away. And so I actually just sent you the poem. And I want to let you know that when you get done here, I know you're busy, but you have a poem that I wanted to offer as a gift waiting for you to listen to, and I hope you really enjoy it. And he goes, well, I'm kind of busy, so I don't know when I'm going to get to that, but would you like to come on stage and share it now? And pulls me on stage to deliver You Are Who You've Been Looking For to a standing ovation in front of 1,500 people. And it was this surreal moment of me going, yesterday morning, I was here closing my eyes thinking I could deliver excellence to an audience this size. And here I am 24 hours later doing it to a standing ovation that felt so good. And the wild part is that Kyle comes on stage and he says, that was amazing, blah, blah. And my team is going to send that to you, because there were 8 cameras, right? There were cameras up close. There were cameras on the mezzanine. There were cameras all over the place. And so his team cuts that together from 8 different camera angles and sends it to me. I get it. I receive it. That version, in many ways, is what I uploaded just to my Facebook and my YouTube. And that version on Facebook got 500,000 views. Now you can imagine, I just went, that's insane. I'd never received a video maybe with more than 500 views, 500,000 views. I felt so good. Years later, I got an email from a company called Goalcast, which their whole thing is making motivation go viral, making inspiration go viral. And so they asked me, hey, we love your poem. Could we do a Goalcast version of this? And by the way, I became friends with the owners of Goalcast, and the behind the scenes of his experience as the owner was that his wife actually showed it to him one morning and said, hey, check this out. This poem's amazing. You should do something with this. And he went, yeah, okay, but it's a poem, right? He drove into work, and at work, one of his employees came up and showed him the same video and said, we should do something with this. And that's when he went, okay. And they reached out to me. So just again, a little bit of the magic of what goes on to make these moments happen. And so I get an email. I think, okay, sure, absolutely. Go ahead and make a version of it. The next email I get from them months later is, hey, your video is about to go live. It should be live sometime in the next 72 hours. Just keep an eye out. I'm not thinking anything of it, right? I wake up one morning and my social media has gone absolutely bananas. It turns out that this poem broke all of their records. This piece that they created got 40 million views in the first 48 hours. It did over 1 million views a day for the entire first month. It was doing 1 million views a week for months after that. And it has gone on to be viewed more than 250 million times. It has led to me being given opportunities to speak on some of the world's best stages for the Human Rights Foundation, for Mind Valley. It's created a momentum for my social media following, where suddenly I was growing thousands of followers every single day. And what I want to speak to around this, because this is the Creative Path podcast, right? This is important to share, is that it was not my event. It was not my camera crew. It was not my original edit. It wasn't my secondary edit. It wasn't my outreach to them that made it happen. And it wasn't even my platform that the video was ultimately shared on that went super viral. I feel in many ways like I had so little to do with the actual process of that piece getting out into the world and reaching so many people. But there is one piece that was 100% up to me, 100% my responsibility, and that was to stay ready and keep investing energy into my vision. The pieces that I brought to that table: 1, I had the poem memorized. Why did I have the poem memorized? Because I had been touring my show, and that poem was a part of that show, and I had been practicing, and I had been investing, and I had been losing money in order for me to be able to share my gifts in the way that I wanted to, just because I had to. That is something that all artists out there can probably relate to. Entrepreneurs as well. If you are a visionary, if you are a creative and you have a goal, you have a vision, you have a dream, you need to invest your energy into that dream. And so I had been doing that. And so I was ready. I was prepared. I was memorized for that moment. What else was there? I was at a personal development event. I did the assignment both the day of and the homework that night. Guess what? I also had my little revelation the next morning during meditation. And that's revelation the next morning in meditation is the reason I raised my hand, because that's where I found the true empowerment. And so here I was still continuing to invest in myself, in my own growth, and take action towards that vision. And this is how we stay ready, because growth is not linear. People think it's like this line in a line graph that's just going up and up and up, and we just take action and we move forward. Growth is actually a staircase. There are periods of time, like a poem going viral, where things skyrocket, but then there are periods of time where it's the flat of a staircase and it feels like nothing is shifting, nothing's changing. And in those periods of time where it feels like nothing's shifting, that is the invitation for you to integrate more of the lessons you learned from the last skyrocket moment. In this example of what I went through, this skyrocket moment that amplified everything came on the heels of me integrating the willingness to be better at my craft, the willingness to continue to take action towards my goals and my visions. I had integrated that to a point where I was now exhibiting that behavior, and it led to this skyrocket moment. And so my encouragement to you is to continue to stay ready, continue to integrate in those periods of time where it feels like you're not catching a break, when it feels like you're not getting anywhere, when it feels like nothing's shifting, and continue to invest the energy, because at some point in time, that amount of energy will be the straw that breaks the camel's back. It will be that moment where it just explodes into a period of growth. And for me, what's interesting about this is that the period of growth that I then went into was so unexpected. Because once that poem went viral and I was getting all of these opportunities, that was just the beginning of a journey for me, a deep journey of self-love, because I dropped into the deepest depression that I'd ever been in my entire life. And that journey of navigating depression, I'm going to save for part 2. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you taking the time. If you are interested in building a life that you love through the 3 pillars of relationship, business, and creativity, then I encourage you to continue checking out more of my content, including this video, which I really think that you will like.